Today we're talking about dividing rational numbers. And as a review, rational numbers are fractions or decimals that have an end or are repeating, like a repeating pattern. That's what a rational number is. And sometimes the rational numbers can be a whole number too. So we are dividing these rational numbers with integers. So they sometimes have negatives, sometimes have positives. So what are the rules for multiplying and dividing negative numbers? What are the rules for multiplying and dividing rational numbers? Or negative numbers, sorry. I confused myself. Positive. When do they become positive?
After you change it.
But how many negatives do you have to have?
2.
Yes. So if you have 2 negatives or an even number of negatives, the answer is positive, correct? Okay, if you have 1 negative or an odd number of negatives, the answer is what?
Positive.
Negative, good. Okay, so there's our rules to remind us. So now we can do these problems and make sure that we get the right sign on them. So number 4, is my answer positive or negative?
Negative.
Negative. And what is 96 divided by 6?
Negative 16.
It goes evenly?
96 divided by 6?
Yeah, it does go evenly. How about that? Okay, so negative 16 will be my answer for that one. How about number 5? Is my answer positive or negative?
Negative.
Negative again. 1 negative means a negative answer. And 36 divided by 4, yes, is 9. So negative 9 becomes my answer. How about number 6? Negative 64 divided by 5.
Negative 12.8.
Negative 12.8. So we have a rational number for our answer on that one.
Hold on, I need to copy these now.
Okay, you go ahead. I'm going to do one more and then I'm going to take a break. So you keep copying. And how about 64.4 divided by 2.5? 25.76. And my answer is positive because there's no negatives in that one. Nice. Okay, so copy these in your journal and we'll be right back. Okay, so for the next 2 problems, we have fractions. And we're dividing by fractions. So when we divide fractions, who remembers this acronym? Rayleigh?
Keep change for it. I remember that.
Yes.
My sister's teacher said, Kentucky Fried Chicken. Cheers.
Kentucky Chicken Fried. Yes. Ethan, I know you knew too. Thank you. Okay, so keep, change, flip. Write this down in your notes. This is super important to help you remember how to divide fractions. Keep, change, flip. What that means is I'm going to keep the first fraction the same. Just write it down again. Then I'm going to change the sign. So we're changing division to what? Multiplication. So I'm going to use a dot to show multiplication. You could use parentheses, just don't use an X. That looks like a variable. And then I'm going to flip my second fraction. But you say 12 is not a fraction, Miss McNally. Yes, very good, Ethan. You put a 1 underneath and now we can flip it. So it becomes 1 over 12. And now we can just multiply the top numbers and multiply the bottom numbers. So negative 2 times 1, negative 2, and 3 times 12,
12 is 36.
36 is correct. So our answer becomes negative 2 over 36. Or if we reduced it, does anybody know what it is if we reduce it?
Oh. Actually, hold on.
They both divide by 2.
Negative 72.
Divide by 2. No, it's right here. You're fine. Thank you. Yes.
18.
18, thank you. So if we reduced it, it would be negative 1 over 18, or you can leave it as negative 2 over 36. Either of those will be accepted. Okay, so the next one, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to keep the first fraction the same. Then I'm going to change the what? The sign.
Multiplication.
That's right. And then I'm going to do what?
4 divided by 5. 4 times
Flip the fraction. So instead of 4 over 5, now I have 5 over 4. And if I multiply the top numbers together,
KFC.
yeah.
I miss Tyler. I talked to Tyler.
Oh, good. Okay, so negative 2 times 5 is negative 10. And 3 times 4, 12. Yes, good. And I ran out of room, sorry, so I have to write below. And then what does that reduce to?
Negative 5 over 6.
Yes. All right, copy those down. Okay, so in this section it says simplify each fraction. So we're going to go through the steps of how to simplify these. What I need to do first for number 10 is simplify what's on top or bottom. If there was something on the bottom that was being added or subtracted or multiplied, we would have to do all that first before we can divide the fraction part. So what is 25 plus 3? 28. And then keep the negative 4. And then we're going to go ahead and break that down even further. What is 27 divided by negative 4? 28 divided by negative 4.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
28 divided by
Negative 7.
negative 7.
It's negative 7. Okay. So you simplify whatever's on top or bottom, and then you divide as your last step. Now, number 11, can we do anything with that?
No. Yes. No.
Any other votes?
Wait. Yes, because you can.
Yes.
I don't
Yes.
know.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, because you can what?
Turn A into a 1. I have no idea.
No, I don't
I'm
want to
saying
do
no.
that.
I'm saying no.
Okay, Rayleigh?
Well, you do something with the top number, but with the A, you add 10. No, you add.
The A, the answer.
When you
Hey, you can't shush him. He's helping. Okay, so remember in the last section when we had, like, 4a times 2b? And when you're multiplying, you can just kind of multiply the numbers. 4 times 2 is 8. And then write the letters in ABC order. Remember that? So we can break it down the same way when we're dividing. So negative 650a divided by 10, what I can do is I can divide the numbers, and then like Ethan said, just write the a in the answer. So what is negative 650 divided by 10? Negative 65, and then write the a. And that's it. Okay? So when you're dividing, you can divide a variable by just a number. That totally is acceptable for multiplying and dividing. And for our last one, now for the last one, can I combine 6b plus 18? No.
No, you
I
cannot.
cannot combine them because they're being added and one has a variable and one doesn't. So I have to keep them separate. But what I can do is I can divide them both by the -2. Or another way that you might see this written is breaking it completely down into two separate fractions. So that's what we're doing, but it's written all together as one. So what is 6b divided by -2? -3 what?
B.
B.
I got it first.
It's not a race. And what is 18 divided by -2?
Wait, what?
18 divided by -2.
-9.
-9. Good. And so you can write that two ways. You can write -3b plus -9, or you can just write -3b minus 9. Either way is acceptable. But it's plus a negative, and plus a negative is the same as just minusing.
You add rules. That's not fair.
Well, it's not really adding a rule. It's just
Yeah?
a
Because
rule.
when you have a 0, you add 1 with the fraction. Never mind.
Okay, so this is simplifying fractions, and I did not put this type of problem on your test. I did put this type of problem on your test, though, the multiplying ones, okay? So just make a note of that. We'll go over it on Thursday when we do the review, though. You have a test Friday. For this last section, they give us the values of A, B, and C. A equals 3, B equals -4.5, and C equals 7.5. And I have to evaluate these problems or solve. So I'm going to plug in whatever A, B, and C equal to the problems and solve them. So I have 2. What does it mean when things are written next to each other?
They multiply.
Multiply. So I have 2 times A, which is 3, times B, which is -4.5. So I'm just plugging everything in. And then over -3 times 7.5. And now I just multiply everything. So 2 times 3 is how much? 6. And then 6 times -4.5. Did you say it, Ethan? -27. So I'm going to write that down. And then the bottom, if I combine those, what is -3 times 7.5?
-21.5.
I got 22.5.
I tried adding a half to the answer.
I was gonna say 21, but then there's like another half, so I was gonna say like 22.
Yeah.
You see, that's what I
Oh, so you were estimating. I
Yeah.
see. Oh, good skills. I just figured out what you were doing. That's very good, girls. Okay, so now -27 divided by 22.5. We're going to go ahead and work that out.
Oh my gosh, there's more. I didn't mean it that way, I'm sorry. Like this.
Yes, so, oh, it's going to be positive, right? Because I have 2 negatives, which equal a positive. 1.5? 1.2. .2 is my final answer for that one. So it has a lot of steps. But I didn't put this on the test either. So you're welcome.
Thank you. I would have skipped that entire part.
No, you wouldn't
Wouldn't ask
have.
me.
Okay. So let's plug in for number 14. 3 equals how much?
3?
I mean, A, never mind, I told you.
A
B equals how much? How much is B?
-4.5.
Yep. And then A again is 3, and C is how much?
Oh, that's 7.5.
7.5. Good. And we're going to keep, change, flip, right? So keep the first one the same. And you know what? Right away,